Hello and welcome back to Everybody Loves Raiken, our 5th edition live play that meets every Tuesday night. Last time, the party, now safely in Bromdor after teleporting from Storm Reef Isle, awaited word from Nalia, who had left them in order to go speak with Claire about whether or not Bromdor would be able to offer aid and support to the party's plan to fight the children of Tiamat. Though perhaps not Tiamat herself. During that time, the party split up to do their own things, beginning with Vendar, as he and Lynn were feeling the distance. Anyway, after that, the rest of the party determined that they would have perhaps an hour before Nalia would even return at the best estimate from Claire's, and so they would off to do their own things. Jebel and Laramendis went to the Temple of Ione, where Jebel studied language, and Laramendis had Ash sync up his memory with the storage box, and Laramendis synced up with, apparently, an old human friend there in the temple.
Giggity.
Cyrus went to speak to the Drow at the newly built Temple of Illustrae to see if there was any needs that the party could fulfill for them while they were in town. They were grateful for that. But seeing to themselves, they would, however, pass on the information that the party had come away safely from the city of Onyx, since they had not been in contact with the Underdark since then. And Leah went to go check on her group of adolescents who had named themselves the Black Rose and were instrumental in helping the city here come around to the idea of integrating with the Drow who remained, as it consisted of the children of adults who were on one side of this issue or the other. Either way, good leverage. During all of that, Yukikaze and Raiken headed for the Market District, where they caught a cart just opening shop in the morning, and purchased a great deal of their meat. The party came back together to share their information. Vendar describing what Lynn had told him about some mysterious disappearances that she felt were out of sorts even compared to the normal, loss of life and unfortunate and violent goings-on of a city in this period of time. And then Raiken performed a ritual and resummoned our favorite character, Kubriel, his tiger steed, Angel of Cord. And showing that this old dog can learn new tricks, Raiken commanded her in Celestial, and she obeyed the order. And so, as we rejoin the party, what that is, as you have gathered here by Nalia's mansion, Kubriel finishes the rump roast that you have tossed her, Raiken, and is, just licking her chops and staring at you, seemingly awaiting your next command. When you see her eyes track to her left, your right, she looks past you, and suddenly she opens her mouth, and the entirety of her head and neck split open down the line of her jaw, and then split again transverse into 4 quadrants, and inside, opening like flower petals, you just see rows of teeth dripping with saliva as a tendril launches out from her throat toward Vendar. Vendar, please make a dexterity saving throw.
This is weird. Well, I rolled a 19, so that's really, really high.
What's the total? Her DC is really, really high.
The total is a 30.
Okay. You just make it. In fact, this tendril, grazes your shoulder as you dive out of the way, and you see Lynn diving the other way, and you just feel this little hiss as your shoulder is burned for a point of damage from this acid along its length. And as you dive out of the way, just barely clearing this thing with your little glancing blow, you will see as the tendril continues flying past you and wraps itself around Cyrus and pulls him into the tiger. The maw snaps shut, and there is a horrible crunchy noise as it chews, and then as quickly as these lines, these splits, and these teeth appear, they are gone.
You did always want to eat him.
What the fuck? But...
What is wrong with your cat?
No, I think it's Cyrus and that stupid freaking odd magic thing.
Your cat's head opened up and a tentacle flew out of it.
Are you communicating on the bond or out loud?
The bond is no longer active.
Okay. So as you are questioning this to Raiken, the tiger is going to be looking about and while chewing on her claws, to get the last bits of gristle out off of her claws, and she kind of looks up confused, and in your head, Raiken, you hear her say, "What are they talking about?"
I was muted for some reason.
Oh no, Jebel, did you have to something to contribute?
Yeah, I was rolling nature.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
I got a 27.
You got a 27. This doesn't match anything in nature that you've ever seen. This seems entirely unnatural and magical, perhaps even from another dimension.
Yeah, I just kind of that does not seem normal.
You're fairly positive. Tigers don't
Not sure
do
about
that.
celestial tigers, but normal tigers do not do anything like that. That is weird.
Seriously. Go ahead, Leah.
Granted, I can't help but being on... Who was it? Yukikasa or Raiken? I think it was Raiken. They said that this Jebel's...
No, that was Yukikaze.
That was Yukikasa, okay.
Who said it was Cyrus's curse?
Yeah, I'm with Yukikasa on this one. I don't believe this actually happened. This is another of the illusion things.
Yeah,
Tell you what, it burned. It didn't feel like a fucking illusion. It felt like he actually got eaten.
I feel like if she had this ability to begin with, she would have told me. And while he's going to communicate that to the group, and then he's going to instantly communicate to Kubriel, I feel like... What was that tentacle that just appeared from your mouth?
There's just a long pause as before she's just eyeing you, and she says, "What are you talking about? I don't like it when they talk about me like this. Include me in this conversation."
I mean, we saw a tentacle come out of your mouth and attack Vendar first, and then ended up taking Cyrus, and you ate him.
Is this how you treat me after giving me rump roast?
So you didn't eat You didn't eat Cyrus.
I don't know what Cyrus is. I'm certain all of you have names, and they're probably important to you.
All right. That's good to know. He's then going to go turns back to the group and be like, she does not know anything that happened. She is confused when I ask her about the tentacle and Cyrus.
So she didn't notice that her head opened up and ate Cyrus?
I did not.
Well, that's...
No,
Very.
she did not.
Tell him to address me. Stop talking to you.
She wants you to address her.
Well, you also have to think. You also think about when the couple times he came back screaming and doesn't know what happened in the process. So there being a possibility physical interaction that we don't know of that seems very real or is real is very possible. It's freaking crazy magic. But yeah, as soon as it happened, I was a little bit freaked out. But since it took Cyrus, I can kind of believe it being.
Considering how he showed up the last time, whenever something happens to Cyrus now, I'm not gonna believe anything. Like,
Although that is a dangerous mindset because if something actually legitimately bad does happen to Cyrus, we got to make sure we help him.
yeah, that's one of my worries. It reminds me of a fairy tale I read once. The boy who cried the owl bear.
I always liked that story. I imagine the child was delicious.
That was Kubrel, I assume.
Yeah, I'm talking to
Yeah,
Raiken.
you hear that.
None of us leave.
We can't hear him, so Raiken doesn't say anything. We just gotta do it.
Right, it's just like, I didn't read her that story. That seems... She read it when she was young. That seems a bit too harsh.
Did you say that to Kubriel or to the party?
To Kubriel.
Oh.
Okay.
I think it's good to start children on stories like that early. Not understanding death is probably why some people go to war. Although, I like war too.
Well, of course.
If we're done discussing things that didn't happen, especially ones that make me the bad guy, then perhaps you can scratch me right here. And she, like, leans her head towards you, like, tilting her chin up.
I mean, it did happen, just apparently not for you.
Well, if all of life is only an interpretation of experiences, and that is an experience I didn't have, then it wasn't life.
Very well. I can, well, just stop discussing it with her, and since it's been a while, he will comply and scratch her underneath her chin.
Okay. So Raiken has gone quiet, but he has begun scratching Kubriel, who is making meaningful eye contact with him for a little bit. Yukikaze!
George.
I want to give you an inspiration point. And if you don't need an inspiration point, you can give it to somebody else. Or you can take 10 XP.
I don't have one, so I'll take it. Because
Bam!
you know
No.
those things
Does-
come in handy.
Does anyone else need one?
Don't think at the moment.
Looks like you can take the
I'm
XP
good.
if you want.
I shall take the XP, I guess.
Before we move on, I would say that the new Kubriel token is the result largely of Derek's work in Hero Forge. He passed the model on to me, and I put some finishing touches and tweaks on it. So now we have a Kubriel token that looks better than the hyena.
You don't
Rude, it
say.
was a very pretty hyena.
Hero Forge, wonderful. Does not have big cats for some reason.
No, now I kind of want a hyena steed just so you can roleplay it. I would love to hear Tristan's take on a hyena.
Lion King
A hyena is bigger than a tiger.
Okay. Could you do the Ed from Lion King?
Don't know. I'd have to listen to them and try it out. Anyway, so Cyrus disappears in a nearly as horrifying fashion as he reappeared last time. Yukikaze very quickly points out that this is so far-fetched that it has to be the Chaos Curse, so the reward of the Inspiration Point, and the rest of the party seems to be accepting that.
I suppose this means I don't need to send Theranethian yet.
Lairman's just like, woo, save that spell slot.
He was back, but not anymore.
Well, Kubriel seems thoroughly confused, but she is very much enjoying the pets she's getting.
Of course she is.
So, yeah, as you discussed last time, Nalia should be returning soon, supposedly, possibly. You still have the sending that you want for Carasoth. There are other moves you can make, perhaps, to forward your plans to deal with Tatsuya and the children of Tiamat. What would you like to tackle?
I think that we should discuss the sending that we wish to send to our hopeful associate.
Would you like to have that discussion in the privacy of the Mages Guild?
I think so. I do not think that Kubriel should join us inside, since it's inside.
Do you
I do
say
not know
that
that-
to
Yeah, no,
Raiken?
I say that. I turn to go inside and then I turn back, looking straight at Kubriel.
Where is she supposed to go?
That's fine. I like the chance to stretch my new legs. I'll have a wander.
I don't know if that's such a good idea.
It sounds like an excellent idea. Look at this place. So many smells to smell.
The last time that you were in a city, you attacked a water barrel and I had to send you away.
That's right, the water barrel. Where is it? I need my revenge.
There is no water barrel. It's
Did
gone.
it die a horrible, painful death?
Yes.
Was it smote by cord?
In a way, yes.
Then I'm satisfied.
Good.
Laramendus looks at Raiken and says, you can have her go in the back and command her to not take any actions. So he points.
Very well. Kubriel, he'll start speaking in Celestial.
Oh man, she snaps to attention.
Kubriel, please go around to the back. Don't make yourself not have a ton of attention. Just don't do anything. Just stay there until I get back.
The back of what?
Back of the building.
Leah, why did you shoot Kubriel?
I just wanted to see what the red laser looked like. If it was like a laser pointer.
Booped her on the
It wasn't.
nose.
You booped her on the snoot.
Raiken, did you just give Kubriel command?
She,
Yes.
after you explain the back of the building, she again says, "Very well, master."
Did you answer me, Raiken?
Yes, he did.
Oh,
He
okay.
said yes.
Better be very specific, or Kubriel's probably going to take advantage of every loophole Kubriel can find. Just saying. Anyways,
Raiken will also then telepath in Celestial to Kuvriel.
You know, it doesn't work that way.
Damn it! Well, it's too bad. It's too late now. She's on the other side.
You can also go around back to make sure that she will not get into any trouble.
Yeah,
We
you
are a
have,
guest
like,
here.
I told her not to draw any attention to herself.
That is different than not getting into any kind of trouble. I feel like you should be as specific as possible. That she should not move from a particular spot. She should not make any noises at anything or anyone.
I would not have to be so specific if you weren't making us go in here.
you should have thought of that before you summoned her
Why do
back.
we want to have this conversation right outside of the house?
We don't have to have it outside the house. We can have it at Nalia's.
That's the house!
Then why can't she come inside? I thought this was the Mages Guild.
Why would the tiger come into the guild?
Lynn is smiling and waving at a passing drow guard pair. You just hear her mumbling to herself, yes, nothing to see here. Keep going.
Okay, hold on. Out of character. I'm confused. Are we at the Mages Guild or at her house?
They're the same thing.
How are they the same thing? They were never the same thing
They
before.
were always
They were
the same
always
thing.
Always in Bromdor, yeah, because she's the head of the Mages Guild here.
She lives
The
in
guild-
this mansion. The mansion is the guild hall.
The guild doesn't have a large presence in a lot of cities due to
basically
concerns
just her.
about safety.
I feel like with how chaotic Nalia is, she'd be just fine with Kubriel coming in.
I think that we don't want Kubriel getting into anything in the house.
I would make sure she wouldn't get into anything.
Given your concerns about my telling you to be more specific with your command, I do not believe that is the case.
My concerns with that is now I have to walk away all the way around to the back.
I was walking 40 feet, such as...
I
was
look
a
between
much
you and the
obstacle.
corner of the building.
You just hear the small voice of Laura going, ooh, he's got your number. The little fake
Vendar,
giggle.
shove it.
Number?
Yeah, he's like number 3.
Number 3?
Yeah,
I'm not number 3, I'm number 1.
you're like the 3rd strongest.
What?
Yeah.
Clearly I'm the first strongest.
No, it's Yuki, and then it's me, and then it's you.
Yeah, I can't hold back the laughter at that point. No.
I mean...
You're
we've seen
stronger
your
than
displays of
me?
strength. Remember when he tried to flip that table?
I don't remember when he tried to flip a table.
You went there.
Yeah.
He
If
didn't
I
do it.
If I recall,
tried,
I had to pick up both of you
Okay.
at one point or another.
On the revised list, you're number 4. I want to meet this table.
The table is inside.
It's here.
Don't say that. Don't say that, Larry, man. This week,
She zips off into the house.
I mean, in fairness, like in size comparison, like how strong you are based, like compared to your own height. I think Lorelai is actually holds her ground.
Laramendas turns to Raiken and says, and now if you wish to defend your honor in front of the sprite, you can tell your tiger what to do so that she does not cause problems and then go inside.
I hate all of you.
But that hates me.
Except for Leah.
No, you said it. I can't take it back.
You didn't let me finish.
Started really finished to me.
No, I paused for dramatic effect.
It was a long pause.
Yes, I do that. After that failed attempt, Raiken will walk towards the back of the building.
Yeah, Leah does like the biggest eye roll.
Inside.
Kubriel just sort of looks over at you. She's sitting at the back of the building, just like staring at the wall. So she looks over her shoulder. You notice that as she stares at you, she is not, other than turning her head to look at you, moving at all. She doesn't even appear to be breathing. And in your mind, you just hear, "Is that what you mortals call a faux pas?"
Oh my god.
'Cause I've got 4.
Oh my god. Why aren't you breathing?
You said not to do anything.
Oh my god. Alright. It's Celestial. It's going to say you can breathe. Just what I just don't want you to interact with anyone until I come back out.
And then I should continue not interacting with anyone.
No, just don't interact with anyone. You can lay down. You can breathe. Just don't interact with anyone.
Okay.
Nice
As
to
you
tell her.
wish, Master.
The way she stays there.
Could have just asked her nicely to take a nap.
No, she wants to stretch her legs, so I'm gonna allow it. She can walk back and forth. Okay, she's taking it out.
She, like, rolls onto her back and just stretches the legs straight up into the air.
You know what Kubriel not breathing reminded me of?
Hmm.
The uncanny horses Laramentis on it.
I love those horses.
Before you leave, she does say, I mean, breathing was an unnecessary expenditure of energy anyway. Can I continue not doing it?
Sure. So her is she like literally on her back with her like legs in the air?
Yes. You can see her alternately stretching the claws on each of her paws.
All right. Before Raiken leaves, he's gonna go. He's gonna like tap on one of her feet, be like toe beans.
You're gonna see like a Venus flytrap, all the claws come in, like you just get your hand out of the way in time. He says, "My toe beans. You must ask."
All right, maybe another time. Raiken then leaves.
Zoop.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
well, everybody's still standing out here, I guess. Except for Laramentis.
I've barely had Kubriel for any time, and it's already gone off the rails.
I mean, it could be worse. You could be not getting the commands in.
You usually just pick the worst times to summon Kubriel.
I blame Laramentis this time.
Are you gonna go join Laramentis in the house, Raiken?
Yes.
Uh-oh. There we go.
Bendar will go in with Lynn. Well, I have to wait for you to move Lynn, so I'll go in on my own and let you move Lynn.
Oh my gosh, she's already there. What? You able to do your controls, Jeb, or need a hand?
No, I can move.
You walk inside and, Lorelei is hovering above the table, saying, "That's such a good story. I wish I'd been there for that." Oh, you're all here
Not fair.
now.
I was under the influence.
That makes it better somehow.
Yeah, she mentioned. She's a very good storyteller. She said that you attacked a horse after that?
Oh,
That horse was getting up.
She says that's possible.
who's a good storyteller?
Tabletha.
The table.
Don't say it so dismissively.
You can talk to the table?
Some objects are around people enough that they adopt those people's personalities.
So the table shares personality with
Tabletha.
Tabletha.
Yeah.
Shares personality with Nalia.
No, actually, she liked Claire better. She spent more time at the table reading, she says.
Uh-huh. Somehow, Kubriel eating Cyrus isn't the weirdest thing that happened today.
Why are you mad at me?
I don't know. I'd say that was weirder than her talking to a table. Jebel talks to trees and animals.
Those are
talk
living
back.
things.
Looking miffed, Lorelei goes invisible.
Well, yeah, but the trees and animals talk back too. A tree's wood. Why can't a
great.
table be?
I was just gonna sulk all night.
And I mean, I can with magic you can talk to things that have died. So, I mean, a table is
Well, you
dead trees.
Aren't-
So
aren't you technically talking to them like from a different realm at that point?
Does it really matter? I believe she talked to the table.
But she does have some information that she wouldn't have if, but I'm confused.
You feel a sudden small weight on your shoulder there, Vendar. You look over and you don't see anything. You can, if you find that Lord Squeakers II is in your hat, where he normally is.
I do have blind sense, so
That's right, you have blind sense. I totally forgot about that. You are aware that invisible Lorelei is sitting on your shoulder.
some camaraderie. Anyway, we wanted to discuss Carasoth, right? Let's start.
I think that we should have this conversation telepathically. So I'm going to cast telepathic bond.
All right. You spend 10 minutes and you cast telepathic bond. Who is on this bond?
Who do we have?
Gabrielle.
We would have to go outside to do Kubriel because I need to be able to touch her. If when Laramendi says he's going to cast the spell, you tell him that you would like Kubriel on it, he would do it.
You
Tristan,
can get a voice. No.
In any event, Raiken, you've been asked a question.
It was out of character, right? It's not going to ask for that.
Well, yeah, but it's asking what action you're taking. I want to know what action you're taking.
He's not taking any action.
So you're not suggesting to Laramendi that you want Kubriel on the bond?
No.
Okay.
Well, we do have an extra slot open because Cyrus isn't here.
It's true. But if Raiken doesn't bring it up, then it would not occur to Laramendi. So I guess he would fill the slot in with Ash.
Yeah, Raiken's not going to do it.
So who all is the six of us, Ash and Lynn?
That's right, Cyrus
Does
is
Lynn
gone.
want to be on the bond?
I don't know. Does Lynn want? I'll ask her. And I was like, do you want to be a part of this conversation? We're doing it telepathically.
This one does not know how much she has to contribute, but she is, of course, interested to know what it is you are doing. Perhaps it will affect her.
Yeah, it's, we have an 8th. Let's put Lynn on it.
All right. That's who it is. 6 of us, Lynn and Ash.
Okay. You form the bond. All of those people are on it.
I have a question. Because Leah can telepath to Lorelei and Raiken can telepath to Kubriel.
Yep.
When they're telepathing to us, do Kubriel and Lorelei hear what they're saying, but not what we're saying?
No, these are treated by me as different channels, same radio.
Alright, so they have to actively choose to telepath to.
Yeah, and just the same,
Okay.
when they're telepathing to their respective people, you're not hearing it.
Okay, makes sense.
Alright, you're telepathically
Alright.
bonded, and Carasoth is the subject of interest.
We have 25 words. We have 1 spell. What we need to do with this one is establish an interest in further conversation. I think that interest might be piqued a little bit just by virtue of someone doing this, since it means they are very powerful. As ascending of this nature is not something that most spellcasters are capable of. And even a decent portion of spellcasters would be capable of this. But in those 25 words, we need to make a case for more conversation.
How do you suggest we do that?
I was
Anyone?
hoping that anyone might have some ideas.
Well, based on what we know about red dragons, I guess we try to appeal to his own selfishness. But we've talked about stuff like this before, and I don't know what to do to get him to want to continue talking. We need something that he wants. I don't know, are we ready to... Maybe we're not ready to contact him yet.
We need to contact him sooner rather than later, just so we can have time for the conversations that we're going to need to have. Since they will be difficult to maneuver. Can dragons cast demiplane?
You can roll Arcana to see if you know.
No, not that die. That was the bad one. That is a 32.
Shit.
I rolled a 12.
Okay, give me a second then. Really thinking you would not beat my DC. I don't need to pull this page up, he's not making it. Well, the records of exactly what dragons are capable of are not what you would call complete, if only because many dragons are too dangerous to be approached, to be asked about. The records that you have do come from dragons in general who willingly gave this information to mortals. Those do exist. They are sparse. What you know with your 32 is a very esoteric piece of information, a list of spellcasting ability given by a youthful and curious brass dragon to a wizard some 700 years ago, which was in the back of a book that you found in the university while perusing things one night. While bored, and probably you had just been kicked out of the room by Jerry, so you were finding some way to occupy yourself and not feel bad about that.
The library is the proper place to go after that.
The answer to your question is yes.
Okay. So, I mean, if we could the easiest way to have an actual discussion with him that would not be capable of being eavesdropped upon by anyone without extreme knowledge of what we are doing and a decent amount of power, would be if we could speak with him within a demi-plane. If we could convince him to go there, we would likely need to figure some things out. And I would personally be very suspicious if somebody tried to have that happen. I do not think we should start with asking to speak in a demi-plane. But given the nature of the spell, we could possibly put things in a situation where he has a bit more comfort, or he might feel completely unthreatened by the number of mortals that could fit within a demi-plane, and so would be fine going into an empty one. But that is one way that we might be able to speak with him. We could have an hour conversation there, without being able to be seen by anyone else. What were you saying?
You see Lynn's ears kind of twitching a bit erratically, and as you finish speaking, her voice comes onto the telepathic bond, and she says, "This one would be concerned that she would bring a friend into the demi-plane to eat you."
That is the other. Just as we would be capable of doing something to make the situation more dangerous to him, he would be able to do something to us. So I suppose the safest way to have a conversation would be using Ash, but the time on that is very limited. But all of the actual plans about how we can have that kind of conversation probably don't matter until we can establish enough of a desire to have a conversation. So, what are the things that we want to... If we had unlimited space in our setting, what are the points that we would like to broach to pique our hopeful associate's interest enough that he will speak with us?
The scale, but we still don't have his scale.
Can we... Lerman just turns to you, Gaze. Can we see the direction of the scale? The red scale?
If you want me to activate it and find out, yeah, I can.
Please do.
Alright, so I'll bust out the pendant, push the node that is the scale and that we're looking for, and let it show the direction.
Okay. You do so. You press upon the point of the star that glows with a red light, and you see the others dim away as the pendant begins to float above the palm of your hand, and it spins in 2 circles. It eventually settles so that the point is indicating east and a bit north. It seems to be approximately level, and it is pulsing rhythmically about twice a second.
Alright. There you go, Lermatus.
What were the pulses like for the blue scale when we had used it before?
Very, very rapid, like 10 times a second.
Okay. Can you do the black scale?
I will press the node for the black scale.
Alright, it again spins twice. It seems to angle a little bit down, and points quite a bit further north, but still very east. And it is pulsing like once every 2 seconds.
Okay. Laramendus wants to do some math.
You do the math, and you estimate that it is probably somewhere within the bounds.
What do you roll for math?
What's your intelligence?
My intelligence is a 21.
Yeah. So, you do this math. You are a university professor. You have 300 years of experience doing this kind of thing, and it is an area of interest to you. You do the math. You estimate that it is somewhere within the bounds of Sylvanas, probably not too far from the border with Bromdor.
Excellent.
Can you do the math for the red scale? Or are we just assuming that's still an Ebengard?
No, he did that for the red scale.
Yeah, so
that
I
was the red
used
scale.
the black
That was the
scale
black
to
scale.
determine the math so that we could
Okay.
estimate for the red scale. Because or at least assuming the black scale is still in Tuca, that's what Laramendus is
Okay.
working for that math.
Okay, so it's not an Ebengard. That's a... Maybe you want to get that before we try to talk to him.
I am uncertain that we want to be in possession of it when we go to talk to him, or before we go to talk to him, because that seems like it is a very threatening stance, which I suppose we might want to use some amount of threatening, since our whole point does involve the threat of either his permanent death or his constant harassment.
Yeah, and we're trying to get him to comply with us. A little bit of threat will probably do good for that, given he is a dragon. He's probably going to respond a bit better to having a strong stance than just being a... Now, we don't want to be super threatening, but we also don't want to appear weak.
Do you think it is sufficient to tell him that we know exactly where it is?
I mean, I suppose we could just lie and say we have it. If we do meet with him face to face, we definitely don't want to bring the scale with us to meet with him.
I would be concerned about lying that we have it, since I would be unsurprised if he has means to know that it is no longer in the possession of those who might serve him. If it is in the possession of those that serve him. Which is, I think, is likely, but not necessarily the case.
I don't know. Do you think that would be enough?
I have never attempted to negotiate with such an entity from an attempted position of power before.
Well, what a coincidence. Neither have I. I think this is pretty uncharted territory.
Does anyone else have an opinion about if they think that it would be sufficient to say that we know exactly where it is, or if we should actually have it in our possession? I think that we should not lie about it. I think that that is too dangerous given the amount of knowledge that we have. So if we tell him that we have it, we should have it.
I don't disagree with this, especially dealing with a dragon.
So you want us to be in possession of it?
Either or.
I think that would probably be best just as a contingency for this.
So you think that we should be in possession of it? More strongly than that we should just tell him that we know where it is?
Yes.
All right. We want to move quickly so that we can acquire it. So we are going to... Let me actually pull up a notepad. Things that we want to convey.
Yeah.
We have the scale. We should convey that we are aware of the army that is amassing on both sides? Or on our side?
Probably both sides.
All right.
We should bring up the fact that his horde is not responding the way he would like. As we understand it, most of the red dragons aren't heeding his call.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We have your scale, aware of all amassing armies, and hesitance from his brood.
If his brood doesn't respond, that would make him probably the most vulnerable of the dragons, which would lead him to be, which I would think would lead him to be more likely to agree.
No, I think that is a reasonable thing to bring up. I suppose we should, in this message, also convey our intent to seal his siblings.
Yeah, probably.
And remember, this is the ideal scenario. So we should make sure that we have everything we might want to convey to him, and then from that point we can narrow the sending down to what we are capable of sending at this point. That is more of a thing, like more broadcast than the like normal kinds of things.
We should definitely have at least a hint of the offer in the sending, you know, that we intend to seal his siblings, but we can make a deal to let him remain.
Okay. Intent to seal his siblings, not necessarily him. In an ideal world, would we mention a request for his assistance in this, or is that something that we would want to try and do when we have more time?
Something we should try to do when we have more time. This is just to try to get him to talk to us. If we can actually get him to engage with us, then we'll have a better chance at trying to convince him of that, I think.
Okay, so desire to negotiate mutually beneficial end state. What are other positions that we can exploit? And remember, we won't necessarily be able to convey all of these positions in the 25 words, but if we have a more full list, we can decide which ones are going to give us the best case.
Well, I think it's probably something that would need to be discussed more in length, but an offer of what he could get in exchange for, he's not just going to do it for survival. He'll want something, as we've discussed. And Cyrus brought up the idea of offering him, what was the Red Dragon's we met name? What was his?
Ronorel.
Offered. Cyrus brought up the idea of offering him Ornithel's realm. Ronorel. So which he might like, especially since Ronorel hasn't heeded the call. Punishing him might be something that Carasoth would be happy to do.
I am hesitant about eliminating powerful dragons amongst his brood that have expressed desire to butt heads with him.
I'm not saying we should fight Ronorel.
I am hesitant to be in a position where we eliminate potential hurdles to our future associate's power.
Good point.
Given his continued existence, he will be expanding his brood, but any of the existing dragons who do not want to associate with him are going to be older, more established, and more powerful, and so leaving vacuums like that would be able to replace all of those dragons with those much more loyal to our associate.
Good
Is
point.
my concern. Is a
Good
concern.
point. Well,
There are
we'll
other
still
concerns about potential domains, but
We'll still need to find something, and nowhere's gonna be great. But you got a good point there. So
subtasks of the desire to negotiate mutually beneficial end state are survival, domain, end to fighting. Any other points around our arguments for that mutually beneficial end state? Thermanus looks around the room.
Survival is the big one. But I can't think of anything more pressing than that.
I'm sure he would like a loot horde. Ronaril was all about how get acquiring stuff.
I think
Assuming
that
Carasoth's similar.
that's covered in the domain, which is something that we won't be able to say much more about than it is a thing that we intend to negotiate around, since there wouldn't be time in the sending, and we are not yet in a position to properly participate in those negotiations.
Perhaps,
without knowing more from...
Perhaps you should stipulate that at least one of the other dragons actually goes down. What if you get this far in negotiation and find out that this Carasoth wants all of his siblings to stay up with him?
Part of the deal will be that
I had
the other three have to be resealed.
in my mind, that was under the point about intent to seal his siblings, but not necessarily him. But it does make sense to be clear that
This only happens if all of his siblings are sealed. If we convince him in the deal, and convince him that if we convince him and he wants the deal, and that the only way it'll happen that his siblings get sealed, that could help us get him to fight with us.
I think getting him to fight with us is something that would be much easier to fully flesh out when we have a more involved meeting.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. So the points that I currently have. We have your scale. We're aware of all amassing armies. And there's hesitance from his brood to provide assistance. Our intent to seal his siblings, but not necessarily him. And the intended negotiations only matter if all of his siblings are sealed. And then a desire to negotiate a mutually beneficial end state, though that end state being his survival, the possibility of an established domain, and an end to the fighting on both our sides, or to the constant harassment, not necessarily fighting.
I'd like just to follow on about the established domain. Have we talked to anyone in charge about that?
That is partially what Nalia is speaking with Claire around. We need to know that people in positions of power are going to be able to help us in that kind of discussion.
Yeah, I think maybe having that solidified before going ahead with it, probably a good idea.
Do you think that is something that should be solidified before the sending or before a meeting? I certainly agree that before any meeting.
Well, with this, I think before the sending, you should maybe word it to let him know that it is, again, maybe it's a
I think
possibility that might be something that could happen.
And I think he's only going to agree. I mean, how would we ensure his survival and stuff without giving him some place to live? If he doesn't have his own domain, then he would still be in direct conflict with whatever country he was residing in. Part of the deal has to be giving him a place where he can be undisturbed.
If that's the case, then we probably really need to make sure we have that one under.
I think we should send it. We should put it in the sending, and we should work and make sure that the leaders know. In order for this to work, we need to have some place to. We need to give them some place. And we can work out with the leaders of the world where that place is.
Oh yeah,
But
that's
if
not
we
gonna.
can't, ultimately, if we can't figure out something, then the deal won't have much doubt. Carasoth would agree to a deal that doesn't guarantee him land.
I think that is a reasonable point. That if we don't have, when we meet with him, we don't have some concession around that, why would he care to deal with us in that way? And also, we can say it in the sending on the assumption that we'll be able to come up with something amongst the people in power, and then if we can't, I mean, there is nothing binding us to have this meeting, although it would mean that we would have to fall back on either the army's plan to kill
Fight
all of
Tiamat.
them and fight Tiamat, or we would need to work against the army so that we could seal all of them. But
Either
I
way.
think that we would be unlikely to have his agreements if there was not the ceding of land. So
Either way, we'll need to talk to the leaders of the Empire of the Four Queens quickly before the reinforcements arrive.
mhm.
We need them on our side.
There are there 4 rulers in that empire?
To the voice in the sky, it's called the Empire of the Four Queens because of the 4 lakes, right?
Yes, that is correct. The name, the Empire of the Four Queens, comes from the 4 bodies of water that surround the inhabited land.
Oh, it doesn't have 4 queens.
It does, as far as, I mean, you can roll history. Actually, you should.
I'm good at that one.
It seems like something Vendar would know, being a noble.
It's true.
I'm not as good about that one as I was hoping, because I used the shitty die.
Why'd you do that?
I thought that it was shitty for Arcana.
It's shitty for everything.
I was wrong. I got a 21.
Vendor?
Out of 17.
Okay. Yeah, you both know that it does not actually operate under 4 queens at the same time politically. It just has 1 ruler. It is a monarchical society there.
So you let Leah know that?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah, okay. I was just curious.
Do we know anything about the leader?
Well, with a 17, you are well schooled in other countries and their political and economic relations to Espara, as you would be a noble. You've not met the leader or anyone of their entourage, but I think it would not be unreasonable to know at least the name of the ruler when you were a youth living with your family, so this information would be several years old at this point.
That's likely more recent than Laramandus' information.
True. His is probably hundreds of years old.
You do know that the Empire of the Four Queens has been largely a human-ruled society, as long as you've been aware of it, Laramandus. So unless something has drastically changed, then whomever is the ruler is probably still short-lived and very recent, by your reckoning.
It is probably like a grandchild of the person that I would have said is the one in charge. Because I imagine my information about that is honestly probably like 80 years out of date.
Yeah, mine would be more like less than a decade.
Yeah, yours
Or
would be
around a
less
decade.
yeah.
What's the date in game?
I've been getting the date from doing the summaries, and I haven't been doing the summaries in a while because I'm very bad. But let me try and do some quick head math here. It's probably 4 or 5 days after your sister's wedding, so I think that makes it the 17th of June. If we lean toward the outer edge of that estimate, just for safety.
The day after my birthday, not Laramendez's birthday. That was in March.
But I think that's correct. Your sister was to be married on June 12th, right?
Something like that. I was thinking 11th, but it might have been the 12th.
So let's call it either June 16th or June 17th. I'll roll a die. I'll flip a coin. Fuck it. Yep. It is heads, the 16th. Congratulations, Sam.
It's my birthday.
Yes, I never wrote down Vendar's birthday, so I will decide now.
Laramendez's birthday is... This had been mentioned before, I think. When was it? Wrote it down somewhere. Can't actually remember. Thought it was on my description page under notes. It is not.
Lia's is in May, remember? Can't remember exact date, but it's in her diary.
Oh yeah, I have mine written down.
That was the whole thing.
Was it like May 15th or something?
Something like that, I think, yeah.
Raiken's is August 8th.
God, that was what I was gonna make Vendar's.
I mean, if
Wait,
you have...
did you say August 8th?
Yeah.
Mine's 6th.
Get enough people in a room.
Half the
August
party.
is-
Having a birthday that is the same is higher
July
than
and August
one would
are the
think.
most common months.
All our birthdays are syncing up.
I think I'll change it now. Originally, I think I had it so I was just thinking his birthday would be my birthday, which would be August 20th. So I guess I'll just leave it that, August 20th.
Okay. So, sorry, I had to do some name thunkering, and make sure to write it down in my list of NPCs. I have gone with, according to your training, so as of roughly 10 years ago, Vendar, the monarch of the Empire of the Four Queens, was a woman known as Queen Muriel Veracusa.
Alright, I will relay the information. I mean, I've never met her, or anyone important from the Empire of the Four Queens. I learned a bit about her in history and stuff when I was growing up, but I don't know that much about her. I will relay whatever information I know about her.
You know, mostly, you had been given a portrait of her. She was a human woman, dark black skin, not unlike Minuet Kuvara, the lich you faced. So very clearly that is a characteristic of people from that area. She had black hair, curly. She, in the image that you saw, she had been wearing a white or off-white kind of dress, and she had like a tiara with a lot of like diamonds and silver. Like, it was a lot of very light colors against her very dark complexion, dark hair, dark eyes. And the things that you were taught about her was that, like, she was a leader to be admired for keeping, you know, as her forebears had, keeping this society together in the harsh conditions of this desert, and not having to suffer the constant ravages of the storms of Toralos. But what you know is that, back in history, the area had been a warlike kind of place, not unlike Bromdor, but in the centuries since then, it had become a much more isolationist and keep to itself, not bother its neighbors kind of place. And so, she and, like, the two regions before her, regions is the wrong word, royals before her, had been credited with that piece. Your family specifically had little interest. Like, your father had tried to find some way of making himself an exclusive, like, tradesman for them, and he had yet to crack that one. You remember in your youth he was often threatening to send you there to do something about it, but he had more pressing matters here at home for you to deal with. But that was, like, always something, like, kind of on the horizon. You knew that it was an ambition of his to be, like, the sole merchant for the Empire of the Four Queens here in the West. But that never, came to be, as his life ended before you returned to do that job.
Alright. What about her age? Was she young when she was queen, or was she middle-aged or old? How likely is it that she's still queen?
As of 10 years ago, she had been said to be perhaps in her 30s. So it is likely that she is still queen, as long as sickness hasn't taken her, or assassination.
Alright. I will relay that. And it's like, we haven't heard anything about her dying, so I would assume she's still the leader.
So I guess the other question for the Empire of the Four Queens then is, do we have some kind of in for speaking to her that is not the Mages Guild?
I don't. My father was pretty aggressive in trying to become the sole traitor to them. I'm not sure how that will endear her to my family. However, I never did any jobs in the Empire of the Four Queens, so there's not that, and he was typically a very good negotiator, good at hiding who he really was, so it's possible that she did not see my father in a bad light.
All right, so potential avenues for introduction would be from Claire, from Empress Belgrin, or the Mages Guild. I have strong preference for one of the first two. We might be able to convince. What was the Daikon's name?
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle. We might be able to convince Gabrielle to give us that introduction, but that would also involve a lengthy discussion with her first, and the army is mobilized.
How long is it going to take the army to sail from where they were to before they reach the island? Imagine not too long.
My understanding had not been that they were going to the island. My understanding had
Or are
been
they going
that they
straight
were
to
going
Avangard?
Go more straight to Avangard. Voice in the sky. Does Laramendas have any information that I, as the player, do not to make me think that Laramendas would think differently than I do?
Nope.
Okay, cool. So
if they wanted to go to Stormreef Isle, they probably would have made a straighter passage of it rather than riding up the coast, just because there is the inherent risk of spooking Toralos, spooking Calavar, rather, by traveling that route unnecessarily, which you know that they did. Which is how you came by the information.
right.
It sounds like if we wanted to go with the Daikon, we could. We just have to be quick about it.
We do need to speak with her, so we need everyone on board.
She is probably the most likely to have interacted with her the most, staying as a border, right, in their country's border.
No.
You don't?
The Empire of the Four Queens borders Torlos and the
Sudaran.
place where Tsuka is, right? In Sudaran?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to remember the name of the country that has
Tuca.
Gabriel.
Oh, that's Shirkawa.
Shirkawa.
And it does
Okay.
not
All right,
border
so
Shirkawa.
That was north. That was north of Tuca. So
Yeah.
it's got Tuca between it.
Yeah. Basically, if you start at the top and just head down the east side of the continent, you've got Ebengard, then Thanandir, then Shirkawa, then Calavar Toralos, and then Empire of the Four Queens, and then finally Sudaran.
All right. Well, it sounds like we don't have any great ins with the Emperor of the Four Queen. So.
What do you mean? You got that whole Minuit Kavara thing.
I'm sure the lich we killed.
I don't know if she was going to introduce us.
Yeah.
Just ask real nice.
I mean,
The 400-year-old
I feel like if we
isolation
find
of
her,
lich.
then we have other issues that are pressing.
Yeah, I don't. I think she'd be pretty pissed at us.
Right. So, in that case, we're thinking that the easiest in for dealing with the army marching from the Empire of the Four Queens is to speak with Gabriel, since they will likely be moving some amount through Shirkawa anyway, which means that she's likely in a position to want to be in communication, which we could use to our advantage. Which will let us inform her, get her thoughts on the matter of domain, and also have discussions with Queen
Ariel.
Is it well? So I get my I paused because I'm like, is this a name that is normally going to be, say both names, or would it be Queen Varakusa?
With your historical knowledge, you feel that either is acceptable, so say what you please.
Okay, Laramindas would probably use the full name then, because there are too many people to keep track if you use family names.
Very well.
Is everyone on board with that? Which means that our next courses of action, after determining how exactly what we really want to be saying within the sending, is acquire the red scale so that we can send, and then go to Shirkawa and speak with Gabriel.
Sounds good.
Works for me.
All
I
right.
have no argument.
So, the sending then. Laramindas had provided slightly inaccurate data when he had said 25 words earlier. It was actually 35. So we have 35 words. Yeah, I mean, you can do a lot with 10 words.
You can, and I think you're the best one to formulate the sentences because that's what you do.
It's mean of you. I mean, it is fair that I tend to construct these a lot more than anyone else. So I think Laramindas is going to think about this while I, as the player, go and give my cat her medication. Unless I need to be around immediately for what is about to happen.
Not. We can figure out something to do.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna run to do that.
Okay. So, you tell Laramindas to formulate the message for you. and he immediately sits at the table and just begins writing on a piece of parchment, and you'll see that he's writes a few words, scratches one out, writes a little bit more, scratches the whole thing out, starts over. He's really trying to find what he wants to say. So, in the meantime, the rest of you, first of all, has anybody got anything to say about this that they hadn't weighed in on yet? Like, Yukikaze,
No, not really. Sorry.
Leah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about what to say to a big, powerful dragon that might just not want to work with you at all. Do you have any thoughts right now?
Not really.
Okay. Jebel?
No, I think I said the only thing that really stood out to me.
And Raiken?
Nope. Raiken's pretty set. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think his main thing is that they need the contingency plan, and that's why he suggested that they get the scale first.
Okay. I think then, Lynn would chime in and just say, so, you will tell this dragon all of these things in the single sending, since you cannot do it a second time.
Yeah, you can only do it once in a day because it takes his 9th level spell slot to send to.
Are you not
Entity.
concerned that it would be perhaps better for negotiation to simply get the dragon to come looking for this information, as opposed to offering it all up in one go?
Good point. The goal of this is to get him to want to talk to us. What
But
would you
we do.
suggest?
Well, we do have to give some nuggets of truth to kind of entice them, though.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Gotta
gotta be
lead-
something to make him want, but
Lead them, but don't give everything.
The scale? You think it is just sitting there waiting for you to take it?
it's likely it's in possession of someone. We don't know who though. It's probably his minions. So we're not sure. Could be some of Tassia's men.
Which would be worse?
Bad. If they knew that we took it and reported that.
And if you simply killed him?
Well, we'll certainly wonder what happened, but it's all happening quickly enough. I doubt he'd know what happened until after the plan was in motion. Ideally, we could, if it is his men, we could maybe even sneak in and steal it without alerting any of them.
And when they don't see you take it, but do find it missing, what do they do?
I'm sure they would report to Tatsia.
Or again, perhaps kill them.
It'll probably end with us killing whoever has the skill.
And if it is not in the possession of these Tatsuya soldiers,
Well, I suppose it's also possible that someone else has it. Maybe someone else just picked it up. Maybe people like Dusty, who were the protecting the scales, were able to recover it. But we would probably know about that if that had happened.
this one remembers the dragon. Dusty. Never liked him. But if it is in the possession of some red dragon that is loyal to Carasoth, will you destroy this dragon?
We'd have to discuss destroying the dragon. I'm not sure if that would piss him off more or make him respect us more.
Yeah, that is a strange question though, isn't it? Red dragons. Odd creatures. This one is glad that she really never has to deal with them.
They are not fun to deal with. But so far, they've been less bad than any of the other chromatic dragons.
So far? Just the one that you've met?
Well, I mean, we met Shisharan when she attacked Tuka, and we met Bala's horde in Arcosia. So we faced off against green dragons and black dragons, and so far the only one that was even willing to talk has been the red dragon. We actually had a peaceful interaction with the red dragon, even negotiated and received help from him.
Ah.
That's why we're thinking Carasoth is our best bet, based on our interactions with Ronaril.
This one sees, this one thinks she understands. But this Ronaril, this other red dragon that you met, you said that he was not so troublesome.
Yes, he has his own little realm. He lives under a volcano, and the people up top give him a tribute and stuff, and essentially worship him. But he didn't. He's lived there for centuries and hasn't been wreaking havoc.
And
He seems content with his horde.
You want to take this domain and give it to Carasoth. It was one of the things you suggested.
Well, Lerman disappointed that might not be the best choice, and he had a good point about that. But that is something that we thought about.
This one would not like to be one of the ones friendly to you who is sacrificed for this dragon.
I mean, he wasn't exactly friendly, but he wasn't hostile either.
This one fails to see how that is different. The door is going to open. You're going to hear the a tapping of slippers against the floor as Nalia enters and looks around. She looks a bit dismayed, just in general as she walks in, wearing her fall season look, with brown hair and violet eyes. Before looking up and seeing all of you, and says, "Oh, you're all here still. I guess that's good."
How'd the meeting with Claire go?
It went fine, I suppose. I find it harder to recognize her every time I go to see her since she took up this position, honestly. So, forgive me if I'm a little testy. In any event, there isn't much Bromdor has to offer, and Claire is concerned that the dragon will come to take domain within Bromdor, and wants to know whom else you're going to talk to about this, so that she can speak with them about what land should be given to this dragon.
I believe the plan is to speak with the Daikon of Shirkawa next, and then ideally the Queen of the Empire of the Four Queens. But we also want to talk to Empress Belgrin in Aspara, and perhaps the leader of Sudaran if we can. and pretty much any leader. If we could get every leader from every country on board with the plan, that would be ideal.
She slips into winter, her hair going black and her eyes to gray, as she moves through the room and over toward the hearth. It's a warm day outside, or at least the morning is warming, but the hearth seems to be keeping the area a very comfortable temperature. Perhaps it is magical. She says, the Daikon Gabriel. Another of there's famous contacts. Well, if you can provide me the list of countries you will speak with, I can give that to Claire, and I'm certain I will then facilitate them speaking to one another, which will be a very tedious negotiation about who is giving up what land. Have you made any other breakthroughs?
We've been discussing exactly what we wish to say to Carasoth. We've come up with a list. Laire's in the midst of finding the perfect words for the sending.
I recognize the face he's making.
The Narmentis also did some math.
So we know where the red scale is. We intend to go get that immediately.
He raises an eyebrow at Leah. Well, he is quite good with numbers. She slips into spring, her hair going blonde, eyes to green.
I'm not.
We could always teach you when there's more time.
Sounds awfully boring.
Well, it isn't the most interesting at first, but very quickly you realize that numbers are behind everything, and then understanding them lets you understand the world a little bit better.
That sounds as strange as when Lorelei said this table could speak.
My table speaks?
According to Lorelei.
And she's your sprite?
Yeah, she's currently invisible. She got insulted when I didn't believe her that the table could speak.
I have learned better than to question the things the Fae tell me. She says the table's speaking to her. The table is speaking to her. But I will ask the table, she says, leaning toward it, not to speak out of turn or give away my secrets.
Will was recounting the story of how Raiken failed to flip it.
She looks to Leah, Nalia does, and slips back into fall. She says, you didn't have that sprite when that happened.
No. She apparently learned all of this from the table.
This is why I simply believe the Fae when they speak to me.
I would prefer if Tabletha no longer told that story to anyone.
I think she gets that often to talk.
People, though?
That's what she said the name was for the table.
I love that. I'm happy that Tabletha is a part of my home, and she can tell that particular story whenever she likes.
No!
It's a great story.
Very well.
Oh, also Kubriel ate Cyrus.
That did happen.
You don't seem terribly distraught about it.
It wasn't actually Kubriel.
And he'll be back.
You seem very confident of both of those things that make no sense to me.
He tends
Yeah.
to just disappear and come back. Last time he came back, it was horrifying.
Yeah, well, we were in the Feywild. We ran into this guy. What do you call himself? What did he call himself?
Brendan.
Brendan, that's right. He turned into a mushroom and did some sort of chaos curse on Cyrus, and he just kind of disappears every now and then.
As she goes straight from spring into winter.
We've tried to stop it, but so far it's there doesn't seem to be anything we can do.
It has become more and more violent as time has gone on.
Yeah, the first time he kind of just disappeared, and
that's not comforting at all.
No, but we have a lot at hand. We can deal with that when things are easier to deal with.
Dearest, why did you become entangled with this Fey man?
There was no way around his estate.
he had put it directly on the path.
And then in dealing with him, he cursed your friend with chaos.
Yeah, like, we fought him, and we beat him, and then instead of dying, he turned into a mushroom, and then
his house ran away.
And then Cyrus kind of started disappearing and stuff.
We attempted to dispel, we attempted to... I list out everything we did and what it resulted in.
I will look into this. You should avoid contact with the Fae in as much as you can from here out.
Ilariminus looks very pointedly at Raiken.
You guys didn't have to come all the way to get me.
I'm afraid that's not too easy, considering I'm bound to a Fae.
Is going to move over. I don't like that it's going to put her on top of the chair. There. And she's going to just sort of, crouch next to you and put a hand on your shoulder, lifting herself back into fall, and say, in as much as you can, your relationship with Zintharamil, as far as I've ever been made aware, seems stable.
Well,
Yeah.
Fae beyond Zintharamil should be avoided.
I mean, his family literally is in the Feywild.
Yes. I've been to the Feywild sometimes with him. He taught me a few things on how to behave.
Too bad I didn't teach Raiken.
Well, I believe he did try, but we all know how that works.
He said I did very well.
Oh, yeah, Raiken. How did you get your armor again?
I mean, it just appeared. I mean, that's just how good I am.
Oh, well, there answers your question. Alright.
Wait, I don't understand. What do you mean?
Raiken might have sold stories to a Fae.
He did not sell it, he gave it. It was a gift.
He gave some of his best stories to Fae.
Yep, and he'll forget we even said this in a little while.
Yeah, he forgot that how he got his armor, and he forgot how he killed the Behir, is that what it's called? The lightning beast?
The Behir, yeah.
There is no way I would forget such awesome stories.
Funny
It
enough,
was awesome.
You did not give her the table story.
You know that feeling how you'll never forget, you never would forget that, Raiken? That's why you don't mess with the Fae.
I had not expected to need to go into depth about dealings with the Fae with everyone here, since it did not seem a thing that we would do until it was.
And then you didn't have time to warn him.
Dear, you were busy writing your notes when I told the others, so I know, as engrossed as you get in those things, you probably didn't hear me say that things went about as well as can be expected with Claire. She is doing her best to lead this country safely, and so, while Bromdor doesn't currently have a lot it can commit, she will happily speak with the leaders of any other nations you're in contact with to negotiate with them about what lands will be given when and where to this cause.
That is as good of news as we could expect. Our next moves were to acquire the red scales, so we would have it as a bargaining chip, and then go to Shirakawa to inform the Daikon, and via her communicate with the Empire of the Four Queens, so that we can deal with the army that is currently heading there, since we want to make sure that its actions are what we need them to be.
As you mentioned, Daikon Gabriel, you see that her brown hair bleeds to black. Says, yes, they mentioned your plan to speak with her while you were working. Is that the only way to get in touch with the Empire?
If Claire has means that we can use to be more direct with them, that would likely be easier. It's possible that we could try and acquire assistance from Sam is blanking on the name of Aspara's capital, Everwatch, to do the same. We do need everyone to be informed, but
while we are not a political organization, I might be able to leverage the reach and connectivity of the Mages Guild to establish some of these communications ahead of you.
Would be appreciated. My hesitance to reach out for that aid specifically is my desire not to myself become too entangled in the guild's machinations, and I think that given my current level of experience, others in the guild might be pushy.
She moves over and places a hand on top of yours on the table. She says, "Dear, I'm not sure it's possible for you to become more entangled in the guild than you already are. I'm sorry." She says, like, very sincerely not sorry, as she slips into spring.
Spark of hope in Laramandus' eyes. just dies a little bit.
Very well. I will leave it to your best judgment, but know that I am a resource should you need me. She is stood here between you and Raiken, and with her hand still on top of yours on the table, she turns and stares up into Raiken's face and says, "Are you the reason that there is a tiger standing on the side of my house, like, vertically?"
Vertically?
Like the wall of my building is ground to her?
Oh, don't worry about her. She's all right. I told her not to interact with anybody.
That didn't answer my question. Are you at fault for her being there and doing that?
Here's the thing. I am at fault for her being summoned. Lara Mendes is at fault for her being out there.
If it was up to him, she'd be in here doing something equally stupid.
I believe I told you to point at a piece of ground and tell her not to move.
I told her not to interact with anybody and stay along the path.
She has definitely done those two things. She is ignoring, quite well, the crowd of people staring at her.
See? She listens.
But you do not.
I did. I made sure she would interact with anyone. That's usually the problem.
Luckily,
I told you to do a specific thing, and you specifically didn't do that thing.
I remembered that this was how things work with you people. And so, while you were off saving, I guess, everybody, I have been working on some things with the residuum you left me, she says, squeezing your hand a little there, Mendes. And she will, with her other hand, begin patting the pouches strapped to her belt until she finds one, pops it open, slips her hand inside, and she thrusts her closed hand up toward your snout, Raiken, and opens it. And when she does, you can see on the palm of her hand is this small, ruby-looking sphere.
Like, how big is it? Is it like marble size?
It's small in her palm, so yeah, let's call it about marble size.
Alright. What is this?
That serves as... Let's just put it in simplest terms. It's a pocket dimension for you to put her in.
Ooh, so I don't have to de-summon her and then have to cast to summon her again?
I had heard, she says, like, tilting her head slightly toward Lara, that was a non-starter for you in the past.
There's just, like, extreme joy in Lara Mendes' face.
There's also extreme joy in Raiken's face.
Lara Mendes is that joy, like, very happily looking at Nalia, sees the expression on Raiken's face, and then, like, there's, like tempers with a bit of dread.
This is perfect.
I'm glad you like it. It's yours. A gift from me.
Raiken will take it and bow a little bit to her as a thanks.
You see she presses her lips to a line and narrows her eyes a little in a somewhat strained smile. And she says, the specifics on it are that it can contain the corporeal form of one summoned creature at a time, for as long as needs be, and it takes mechanically a bonus action to summon or desummon the creature to that space.
Thank you.
You pocket meow meow.
I thought her name was Kubriel.
It is.
Okay.
He likes to call her Meow Meow.
Very
He
good.
doesn't
Don't
like
that.
Well, at your own risk, then. Now, please, get her off of my building.
Very well. Raiken will leave the room to go outside.
Could he have done that from in here?
No. You know that you will need to touch her with this, make physical contact with her, with this sphere to put her inside of it. And there is, it does have to be consensual.
Like a Pokeball.
Exactly like a Pokeball.
Yep, it's exactly like a Pokeball. It's just instead it's all red instead of red and white.
Oh, just wait.
Real, I
there is
choose
an all red.
you.
There is an all red Pokeball.
So she's literally just like standing out on the side of the building, staring off in one direction. You see her whiskers start wiggling, and her eyes track you as you come around the corner of the building. You see that there are quite a number of people, scattered at a safe distance, just sort of like pointing and talking about this going on, including several drow guards who are just scratching their chins and saying, "Are we supposed to do something about this?"
Don't worry, everyone. I will take care of it. Oh, Kubriel.
She looks down at you. And after a moment's, staring contest between the two of you, you hear her voice in your head in an almost mocking tone. She goes, "Please, Raiken, no poof."
No pooperies. Well, I have good news. You're not going to go poof.
She blips.
Now come on down here.
She lowers herself about 5 feet, so she's still 5 feet out of reach. She, walks down the wall and then sits again. She's like, "Then what is going to happen? You're not communicating. I don't like this."
I have this. And he's going to show her the red marble.
Congratulations.
This allows me to keep you around, and I don't have to desummon you and then try to summon you back.
That sounds very good for you. I am confused as to how it is good for me.
Because then you get to be around a lot more instead of desummoning.
Am I to be trapped by that thing here? At least when you unsummon me, I get to return to the Astral Sea.
Just your corporeal form.
So it will be as though I've been unsummoned, and I should return my consciousness to the Astral Sea. But you won't have to perform a ritual to get me back.
Exactly. Which means I will be able to have you around more, and we won't have what happened last time.
I'm not sure I entirely trust this, but how does it work?
Well, I have to tap you with this, and you have to agree to it.
And what happens if I stop agreeing to it later?
I'm not sure. I guess it doesn't work.
Such a thing should be tested, perhaps. Very well. She is going to step forward after putting herself back on the ground, and she's going to reach her muzzle into your open hand and boop the marble.
Alright.
And in your mind, you hear her say, "I agree. For now."
Good.
And
We can test it later about you not agreeing.
as she says this phrase, in your mind, you will see that the gem in your hand begins to illuminate brightly red, and her form also turns red and transparent, and you see as like an ethereal wind scoops her up as she becomes, plasmatic and amorphous. She is pulled into the gem, which seems to grow very slightly in your hand, so that it is a bit larger, maybe twice the size it was, and one half of it turns white.
So full
God
on
damn it.
Pokeball.
Nice. I love it.
You gotta say, Kubriel, I choose you whenever you do it.
Does it shake a little bit and then
Yeah, it shakes a couple times in your palm. And you hear a slight chime.
Wow, this is really cool.
Everybody who's been watching, their jaws are just on the ground as this entire tiger disappears into your palm. And they begin, talking excitedly with each other, and after a few moments, the tiger doesn't reappear, so several of them kind of seem to decide, I guess that's the end of the show, and begin walking away.
Raiken will look at the ball a little bit and just to make sure nothing happens. And as everyone's clearing out, he will return back inside.
Okay. You return inside.
All of a sudden, he hears a robotic voice. Kubriel, the celestial tiger Pokemon.
Yeah, only it's your armor saying it.
It really worked. He'll exclaim as he steps inside,
holding up the
and
Pokeball.
Yeah, showing the ball now changed to red and white and a little bigger than what it was.
Huh. I didn't expect the size change, Nalia says, but I am glad that the magic I used to make it indicate when it was in use is working.
This will really come in handy.
Indeed. Well, I definitely did it just for your benefit, Raiken. I'm glad you like it.
Now, there's no way while she's in it that she can stop agreeing to it and break it, right?
It wouldn't break, but if she were to suddenly rescind consent, then she would be able to leave it. It's not a trap.
Well, yes, you said it's only for corporeal form.
Yes.
So she's not actually in it.
I hadn't thought much about it. I don't know.
I told her that it wouldn't trap her.
Well, it won't. She can leave. She can retrieve her body from it whenever she wants. But it should act like the summoning spell when you release the body from it, so it should simply pull her back in the same way as the summoning spell.
Alright, I mean, that's what I told her.
Well, okay, so here's the rub. I wasn't certain exactly how your celestial steed works. I tested it with my familiar, and I know that when they are desummoned, they are able to return to their plane of origin until they are given form here again. Is that how does your companion work the same way?
I believe so. She has mentioned that, I mean, she is a celestial. She has her own form, and
Okay.
in her plane, and she turns into a tiger when I summon her.
Then I have every confidence that it's treating her the same way it treated my familiar, and in that case, it's simply holding on to the corporeal form and not the creature itself.
Very good. We shouldn't have any problems then.
Nalia gives your hand another squeeze, a meaningful one, before moving away to the side of the room and seating herself on a bench there. So when will you be heading out then?
We likely need to head out almost immediately to go acquire the red scale, given the time constraints that we're under. We didn't discuss when we were going to go and deal with the white scale. I don't think. Was I focused when we had that discussion, or have
No, we
had
haven't.
that discussion?
I don't think anyone's discussed the white scale.
Okay.
We kind
We have
of
not-
bypassed that.
We have not discussed the white scale. I do actually have a question for Nalia. You can make magic items with the residuum. I was wondering how hard it would be to try to make magic bowstrings. Because I have a few, but I was wondering if I can make additional bowstrings with different damage types.
Well, I can
Specifically,
certainly give it a try.
specifically acid and radiant, if I can.
Do you have one of these already made bowstrings for me to study and try to make it like, or shall I just do the best I can? Because I can also
I have some
just
bowstrings.
wing it.
There are a couple that I'm not using right now. Is the ice one's on Yukikazu's bow. If he doesn't need that one, you can use that one as a reference. Or I also have a silence one. If that will work.
Lynn is gonna kind of like lean in and whisper in your ear. She says, "You seem like very often you are willing to offer up other people's possessions."
That bowstring's mine. I was just letting him borrow it. And he hasn't even used it.
And thrown rails
well-
around?
Well, I mean, that was Cyrus's suggestion. I brought it up because he's not here.
It is a bad habit. We shall have to be punished.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, if it's from you, then I think I can handle the punishment.
You feel a sharp pain in your ear as she bites it with her fangs. Lovingly.
Why we work so well together. We both have trouble with other people's possessions.
Oh my god.
I think it is that we are both much better with other people's possessions than our own. That we work so well.
Much better way of describing it.
Yeah, that's what the staff goes between two of you. It's just
Break it up!
break it up. We're kind of focused on something here.
There's always room.
Yeah, she'll play on that. She just sort of winks down at you, Jebel, and says, "Always room for a third if you are offering."
Mouse.
Just walks away.
I think you said mouse!
Raiken is not happy that he's not close to Leah to try to cover her ears.
No, I meant wrong mouse is in. I have two mice. One is connected to my laptop, the other
Oh.
is connected to the Steam Deck.
I was convinced that you had just very quickly wild-shaped and moved away.
No.
Or that you just saw a real mouse again, because I remember you caught one.
I really like the morphs. They're great.
Yeah.
That is a very nice feature.
I was able to add all of Nalia's. I wish I had done
noticed
something
that.
with her expression, so that she had a different expression on each one. I didn't have the foresight. I was dumb, but I got the hair color and eye color changes.
I mean, that's the important bit.
Yeah. I realized after I had done it, purchased them, added them, and I was like, oh, I could have done different expressions too, so it was even more obvious. Well. It was only because I was like, but she's still smiling when she's in winter, and winter is always her sad.
She has a sad smile.
Yes, apparently. Anyway, I like the morphs. It was a good addition. So yeah. Lynn seems satisfied teasing you there. Jibble. Nalia will simply say, well, I'm sorry we don't get to spend more time, but I'm glad I was able to help you with Claire. And again, if you can get me... If that is everyone you wish to talk to, Empire of the Four Queens, Shirkawa, Aspara, I can facilitate her speaking with them. I remind you that Sudaran, Thanandir, Ebengard, and Sylvanas do all have functioning governments and would probably want to be a part of that conversation.
I think that if we can get everyone involved in that conversation, it would be the best. I just don't have any
Contacts.
we have limited time to talk to people ourselves. But,
Look, I will keep your name out of the discussion, my love. But I think that you should definitely let me use the guild to help you.
I agree with that.
I think that would be appreciated.
Good.
It's like a weight lifting off Lermendus' shoulders.
Everyone is aware that there is a situation, just not everyone is aware that there is a solution in the works, which is why resources have been so poorly administrated lately. Now then, if you need to go get that scale and time is of the essence, then might I remind you the location of my door?
Damn.
Lermendus smiles and then turns to everyone. We can talk about the white scale once we've acquired the red. And then smiles at Nalia and then goes to leave.
Before we go, this leads on from Vendar's request for magic bowstrings. How difficult would it be to make a wand with charges?
Well, if it's charges, that would be easier than a permanently enchanted magic item. Costs considerably less residuum. It would still take me some time to get the formulation right. But, I mean, if needs be, we can always use teleportation circle to transfer items once I've completed them.
No, it's just the who has it now? The healing.
Cyrus.
Healing.
No, Cyrus gave it to somebody.
Oh, he did?
I know he had stated giving it to somebody.
Okay, that rings bells, because he didn't know if or when he would poof out.
Yeah.
So, sorry, go ahead. Ask your question there, Jeb.
So it was Jeb was asking the group who has it.
Yeah.
the healing wand, it's because Cyrus had that one of the last times he disappeared, and he's gone for a while. So, if we could duplicate that, and then a couple of things I might like to put onto a charge. I need more time to think about that. But if it's doable, that's all. That's a good first step.
I don't have it written down on my sheet. I don't think he gave it to me.
Raiken wouldn't need it, so
I'm pretty certain he didn't.
Yeah, because Raiken never gets hit.
Raiken has
Like, he can
heal
heal
has his
himself,
own
right?
heals. He doesn't need a heal wand.
You say that.
We can message Derek afterwards and double check with who he gave it to. One of us has it because he was very clear about distributing those goods.
I think that perhaps I would be able to work with Cleric Orasker on this. I don't think I need to take yours from you. I understand the goal effect, and I think the Cleric can help me with that.
For the bowstring, would the silence one work, or would it be better if you had one that was enchanted with an element already?
No, the silence one would be fine, yes. I imagine it's all evocation, so...
I will lend her the silence bowstring then.
Okay. She takes a look at it, weighing it between her two hands and looking it over from end to end. Well...
You said you wanted acid and... I can't remember. Sam cannot remember. Radiant.
I would love Radiant if you could get Radiant. Force? What? I mean, sure, Force too. Anything you can think of, I would take. But I specifically want Radiant and Acid. Why would I specifically want Force?
Very few things are resistant to force damage. It's difficult to produce naturally.
Alright, well, Force too if you could.
I will work on these. I can't guarantee that they will function exactly like the ones that you already have. This is impeccable craftsmanship, I can tell just by looking at it. But I will get you the best I can as quickly as I can.
Thank you.
Do you need some more residuum for this?
You can see that her brow is working, knitting, furrowing, and releasing as she struggles to choose the right answer to that question. And finally she says, "No. I still have a sizable amount remaining. I worked very hard to make that stasis ball efficiently, and I don't want to tap into your reserves that you might end up needing any further than I already have, dear."
Armandus nods along with this. If that does change, we can always see if anyone else here who is in possession of some can help redistribute things. I looked to all the spellcasters.
She kind of like flips open she stands up and flips open the bench that she was sitting on. And she shuffles a couple things around, then she turns around and holds up a sheaf of papers, which are just covered in notation. You can recognize from across the room as hers. And in her other hand, you see this twisted metal, like, it looks like it was, like, torn in half, originally in the shape of a ring, perhaps, and some violent, event just sundered this poor thing, and you can see the edges of some runes in the surfaces of the metal. She says, I'm very close on this, I think.
The Laramidas brightens up. It's like, that will be very interesting.
And then we won't have to worry so much about that. Just a little more time, she says, like, gently putting the things back within the bench and closing the top. So, don't worry about me. I will do what I can to support you from here. And first priority is to get the leaders talking. So, continue on with your plan to go see Daikon Gabriel. I'm sure she misses you. I'll work on the others. Better that the contacts you have hear it from you.
I think that's reasonable. Which means we need to move quickly.
Good. Well then, all of you, get out of my house. Go on.
Figure out where the door is. I was zoomed in.
You start moving toward it, she says, not you.
And there's like a meow, like a little meow in the background noises, and I keep hearing it and thinking it's my cat.
Me too.
No, it's Kubriel.
It's Gabriel inside the gem. Oh, Lynn shrugs and heads for the door. After everyone... Leah.
Yeah.
Leah's dead!
No.
Somebody flew
Yep,
up.
yeah, you're dead. It's weird. It's unfortunate.
Leah had a good life, a long life.
It wasn't long.
It wasn't really that good either.
A good long life for certain definitions of good and a few definitions of long.
After everybody else finally removes himself from the building, she's going to move toward you, Laramendas, and take your face in her hands and give you a long, warm kiss on the cheek. Say, I know I say it every time, but I still want you to be careful out there and come home. In one piece, preferably.
I mean, given the magic that we're talking about here, there only needs to be a single piece. But
she is going to, like, take one of her hands that she was cupping your face with and move it away a few inches and then slap it back down. Not funny.
I will be as careful as we can be.
You know the backups aren't ready yet. They still need more time. So try not to die before then.
I have a mental image of just like a warehouse full of like tubes full of like Aramenduses.
There's no point in having multiple.
Some of them are all like deformed and
Oh, good gosh.
like in Alien Resurrection, all the Ripley's.
Mm-hmm.
One of those is Jeremy.
Good gosh.
I don't remember if Laramendas told anyone about Clone yet.
You haven't, which is why she kicked everyone out of the house. They don't know.
And she wouldn't know that they don't know. She would think that they don't know.
You are still connected on the bond.
She does think that.
How about I'm not telepathing?
Yeah.
It's, what is it, 180 days trying to
Yeah,
remember
it's
the spell.
something like that.
So
It's
that
a
means
lot.
it's
At least
you know,
100 days.
173 left.
Yeah, I think it's 100 days, but yeah, it's a bunch.
It takes so long to make a good clone.
It does. So she's just sort of like got your face stuck there, you know, grabbing you by your jawline, just like not letting you go, making strong eye contact, and saying, "Not allowed to die until they're done."
We will be careful, and I will be sure to stay properly in touch if anything new comes to light.
All right, go on, save the world.
Thank you again for dealing with the guild.
She smiles, and as you reach the door, you hear her say, "I love you."
Love you too. Oh, I floated up.
Leah over here still love you, so when you come out, she grins at you.
And now we must be on our way.
Completely ignores Leah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did Leah say something? Didn't hear it. Oh well. Time to go. All right, and so that's where we'll pick it up next time as you leave Bromdor, leave Volinar, and perhaps Bromdor, in search of the Red Scale. And probably on your way, finish composing that sending to Carasoth and having it.
Yes.
That'll be fun.
My intent is to come up with something between sessions, and then we can deal with any changes that the party wants to make to it next session. Since I think that I should have something to come with. Something to start with, rather.
Sounds good to me. Well, the text channels are there. Please use them. Please, everyone, take 1600 EXP. Malachi!
Yes.
1600 EXP.
Yeah, I'll make sure I don't not add it today.
Okay. Please make sure you don't not add it.
30,000 to go.
Alright.
Alright, guys, I'm tired. I'm gonna bolt. You have a wonderful night.
Alright, bye, stream.
Right.
Bye,
Good
stream.
night.
Good night, everyone.